It is the Cam Show. It is brought to you by Rogue Media Sports Network. And we are just about a month away from NBA training camps open, which means it is now time to ask the question. The parade is done. The Olympics are done. Now we can ask, will the Boston Celtics repeat as NBA champions? And this team feels like the most likely of the last few years. Obviously we've had 6 different champions the last 6 years, but this feels like the one that would be a repeat champion. I think we thought that with the Bucks, and then Chris Middleton was hurt in the postseason. Celtics took him out. I thought Denver was not a bad shout for that last year, but pretty early on we realized the Celtics were the best team and they had the better summer than the Nuggets did. So this is probably, since the last Warriors champion, the one that we've thought the most confident about that they can repeat. And I think a lot of people would say they should repeat as champions. And for Celtics fans of my generation, that's a big, big deal. That is a big deal. Obviously, the 18 championships, it has spanned the history of this franchise. But what every other generation of Celtics fans has gotten has been a Celtics dynasty, if not a mini dynasty, but a dynasty. Each generation has had this run of Celtics dominance, whether it was an 11-13 in the Bill Russell era, 2 out of 3 in the 70s, the mid-70s with Tommy Heinsohn as the coach, kind of that rebirth, and then the trifecta of championships in the 80s. And then the kids from the millennial generation, and then to my generation, which I guess is technically millennial, barely on the other end, 97. We have seen 2 one-off championships so far. But this feels like the one that's sustainable. 08, not that it didn't feel sustainable, but you just knew that these guys were on kind of the back nine of their career, and so they could get hurt, which is what happened. Injuries hurt them. They aged out. They obviously had the big Garnett injury in 09, which was a team that looked like it was even better than 08. 2010, not an old guy, but Kendrick Perkins gets hurt in the finals, and they don't have enough rebounds in them to beat the Lakers in a series they should have won. And in a game 7, they should have won. And there you go. Poof, it's over. And we didn't know it at the time that it was over, but it was pretty obvious within a year or two that run was over. And this team, on the other hand, has 2 superstars who are either just at the beginning or about to go into their prime, which is scary. Jason Tatum has made the All-NBA first team the last 3 years, and he might not even be in his prime yet. Age-wise, he's certainly about to enter into it at 26, 27 here. Turns 27 during the season. And I think there's more that he can do with his game. I really do. I don't think he's that great a three-point shooter. We saw some plays in the final, specifically in that game 5, where he became a drive to the basket interior scorer, like every time down the floor. I think he could be that on a more consistent basis. I do. That's kind of the beauty of Jason Tatum, is he's good at a lot of different things that he can improve on in a few different things too, and become really like a top 3 player in this league. I think he can still get there. And Jaylen Brown, whose numbers just got better last year. I mean, we're hopefully seeing the best of Jaylen Brown here. That's a guy entering his prime. Derek White is in his prime. Kristaps Porzingis is still super duper effective when he's out there. Drew Holiday, an ageless wonder. The point is, this team is absolutely built to go back to back. And they're set for this upcoming year and the year after that, in terms of the guys locked up and what the luxury tax is. After that, they're going to have to make some moves. But you think about it then, okay, you've still got, Jaylen Brown 29 or 30 and Jason Tatum 28 or 29. They're still in their primes. Maybe the back end of their primes, but these are still 2 all-NBA players that you've got as cornerstones of your franchise who are in their primes. And Drew Holiday, if he has anything left, he's still playing for you, because you're going to give him a great chance to win a championship. And Derek White will be 31, 32. And who knows with some of those role players, but I don't know. It doesn't look like he's slowing down. And you've got what I think is maybe the best GM in all of basketball in Brad Stevens. You're in good shape here to not just win this next year, but to continue winning and being at the top of the Eastern Conference at the least. But we're talking about this year. And I did see an interesting article on NBC Sports Boston where they do a simulator. And I don't love simulators. I don't, because it's a game played by humans, and the simulators don't even factor in injuries. But I thought this was interesting because they used this last year. Strat-O-Matic is what it's called, and they simulated it for the 23-24 season. And Strat-O-Matic did have the Celtics at 64-18 in the regular season, which is the record that they had them winning the NBA championship, which they did. So I do find that kind of interesting. And the Celtics, it's not like, they had decent enough injury history during the season, but Porzingis missed 25 games in the regular season, and he missed a good bulk of your playoff run. And as you saw in the finals, you talk about an X factor. That guy was it. That guy was an absolute X factor on this team. So the fact that they went through a dominant historic run, even without one of their best players, should negate all the stupid storylines that you heard throughout the postseason. They did go 16-3 in the playoffs. So even with that, that doesn't get taken into account with Strat-O-Matic. They still nailed it. And Strat-O-Matic is predicting them to have a damn good 2024-25 regular season at 61-21, the number one seed in the East. And they're predicting them to, like last year, win the East in the regular season quite comfortably. 8 games ahead of the Philadelphia 76ers and 11 games ahead of the New York Knicks. We're going to talk about challengers to the Celtics in a minute. But that is, I think there needs to be some flipping there. But Strat-O-Matic does have an early playoff exit for the Celtics out in the second round, losing to the Milwaukee Bucks, led by future Hall of Famers Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard. I think the Celtics would have to have some pretty serious injuries to not get past the Bucks. I really do. Because the Bucks always have injuries. So I'm taking that into account right away. How about I do that? Okay. Second, as crazy as this might sound to someone who doesn't watch a lot of Celtics basketball, the Celtics have the secret against the Bucks. Because one guy from the center position who has guarded Giannis well in the past 5 or 6 years, the only guy who has really guarded Giannis well and consistently well, is Al Horford. I can hear the eye rolls going on in the YouTube comments right now. Old man Al Horford, are you kidding me? No, I am not. You saw how he guarded against Luka in the finals. Pretty good. Luka really struggled against it when Al Horford was guarding him. And you look at the numbers against Giannis, man. You thought Grant Williams was the Giannis stopper. Grant Williams got some serious money because he was touted as the Giannis stopper, but it's not. It's Al Horford. There's no one that can stop Giannis when he's getting a full head of steam. But Al Horford is the one who can keep him in front of him. He's damn near the only one in the league who can do that. So I already think you got it. I think you've got the Giannis stopper, and Mazzulla ball works very well against Milwaukee. Okay, there was the weird blowouts last year where the Celtics just had one of those like once every 20 games or so, but for the most part, you look at Mazzulla, especially in his first year with the Celtics, he really had the Bucks number. Like this really looked like this really looked like a guy who had figured out his opponent when they were facing the Bucks. Christmas Day was the one that came to mind pretty instantly. But Al Horford, when he's playing against Milwaukee, man, his numbers, they turn up. They really do, especially in these years with Giannis on the team. In fact, I look at the last 3 seasons against Milwaukee. He's playing 32 minutes a game, 26 minutes a game, and 35 minutes a game against the Bucks the last 3 seasons. 23, the numbers went down because you had Robert Williams for most of the season, but 24, 35 minutes a game against Milwaukee. That's a guy they want to stay out there on the floor when they are playing Milwaukee. And, the scoring numbers aren't like outstanding, but he gets 10 and 5. 10 and 6 against the Milwaukee Bucks last year. And you're keeping Giannis under 35. That's a win. That's how you play this game. So I don't think the Bucks are this huge hurdle for the Celtics in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks, you want to tell me that? Okay. Huge hurdle? I don't think so. But I think that's a team that could give the Celtics some fits. I think I like the way they have managed their roster. And I do like Mikal Bridges. I like OG Anunoby. Obviously, Jalen Brunson is a star. I think that's the only team that can match up with the Celtics. Because Philadelphia, come on. We're past that, right? We have advanced enough in a society to realize that the Philadelphia 76ers are not beating the Boston Celtics in a playoff series. That's not going to happen. The Leafs are not going to beat the Bruins, and the Sixers are not going to beat the Celtics. And to think that signing Paul George, 35, 36-year-old Paul George is the fix to your problems, thank God there's the Sixers. Thank God the Sixers still exist. Because that is asinine. And it's so perfectly Philly. Oh man, we can't draft for shit. We can't develop players. We have been pretty bad, or we were pretty bad for 5 or 6 years. And really all we got out of it was Embiid. We lucked into Embiid being a great player. We've developed Maxey into something, and we can't figure out anything else. Elton Brand cannot figure out anything else. It's really, they've needed like 2 pieces for 5 or 6 years now. They haven't gotten it right. And they think Paul George is the guy. Good freaking luck. Good luck. That's not beating the Celtics. The Knicks are the only team in the East that I could see beating the Celtics. Indiana, I like, sure. They're plucky. I think they're better than some people give them credit for. I think they might even be better than Milwaukee this year if Milwaukee has the same injury history they've had the last few years. And obviously they beat Milwaukee in the playoff series without a lot of Giannis or Lillard. So I think that's a good team. They played well against the Celtics and they got swept without Kristaps. So I don't see that coming. The only thing that really would worry me about the Celtics is unexpected injuries. And obviously, most injuries are unexpected, but this is a team that was fairly healthy last year. And outside of Kristaps Porzingis was very, very healthy last year. So that would be something that could derail them, of course. And the second thing would be how Jaylen Brown reacts to this summer. I think that's an important thing. And I am going to talk about that later on in the show here. But how Jaylen Brown reacts to this summer and this personal strife, I think will decide whether the Celtics are more of a 2023 Missoula Ball Celtics or the all-dominant, all-conquering 2024 world champion Boston Celtics. So can the Celtics repeat? You bet your ass they can. Are they the favorites to repeat? Hell yeah, they are. I look at the rest of the league. I still like Denver, although they keep sacrificing role players, which I don't like when any team does that. Dallas, I still don't really know that they got better. Klay Thompson's obviously a Hall of Famer. I don't know what he's got left in the tank. He's not the same defender he used to be. And you lost 2 pretty good defenders, especially Derrick Jones. Derrick Jones Jr. goes to the Clippers. I don't know if you've made up that defensive loss that you have there. So Dallas is a team that just went to the finals. I can't sit here and confidently say they're going to go back. Denver would still be my best team in the West, although Minnesota could go back. I could see that going back to the conference finals. And Oklahoma City is going to be the popular pick. And their day is coming. Their day is coming. I lean a little bit more towards Denver just because they have Jokic and the other teams don't. But Oklahoma City is um, clearly the next best, if not the best team in the Western Conference. Let me know what you think. Can the Celtics repeat as NBA champions? Drop that down in the comments below or leave a voicemail. We're going to have that in the description about what the Celtics team can do and what could possibly derail this Celtics season. I'll talk about that more coming up on the Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network.
We are Rogue Media Sports.